Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's for me a pleasure to welcome you again to this high-level meeting on action for peacekeeping that also marks the 70th anniversary of United Nations peace operations. Last year, I visited Bangassou in the Central African Republic and laid a wreath in memory of the Moroccan and Cambodian peacekeepers who were killed there. It was a humbling experience. I feel a personal responsibility for the loss of every peacekeeper. Many of you here today have taken part in similar ceremonies. You understand the pain of every loss. So let us now stand and observe a moment of silence for the fallen in line of duty.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, when I assumed office last year, I found myself faced with a tragically high number of deaths during peacekeeping operations. I hence promptly commissioned the cruise report to enhance the safety and security of blue helmets. This March, I launched the Action for Peacekeeping initiative, which incorporates the recommendations of the cruise report into a broader framework. Blue helmets have to face increasingly complex conflicts with multiple adversities, with deadlocked political processes, terrorism, and transnational organized crime. However, I understood that they are also facing a more fundamental challenge, namely the gulf between aspirations and reality. Expectations vis-à-vis peacekeeping have largely surpassed available resources. Action for peacekeeping is geared towards bridging this gap on the basis of three pillars. Firstly, by recentering peacekeeping around more realistic expectations. Second, by making our missions more robust and more safe and secure. Lastly, by galvanizing greater support for political solutions and to improve training and equipment provided for our forces. It is a great pleasure for me that 145 governments, including those of a number of host states of our past and present operations, as well as 4 international and regional organizations, have aligned themselves and signed on to the Declaration of Shared Commitments on United Nations peacekeeping operations. I would urge all of those who have not yet joined to do so. We are already endeavoring to make action for peacekeeping a reality. We have conducted independent reviews of our missions in order to pinpoint how we can best deliver on our mandates. Our missions are promoting a more proactive posture. They are improving security and command structure. Accountability has been stepped up, and performance failures are being addressed. We promote innovative approaches for training and equipment, including via triangular partnerships and joint deployments. We are already beginning to observe encouraging results. However, it is incumbent upon us to remain vigilant, given the fact that risks remain elevated. We are also proactively engaged in enhancing the role of women in peacekeeping. A greater number of women in peacekeeping is reflected in more effective and efficient peacekeeping. We have accelerated our response to allegations of sexual exploitation and abuse, and we are providing stepped-up support for victims and are more effective in seeking justice.
Peacekeeping's achievements go far beyond keeping the peace. Blue helmets are protecting millions of displaced people and supporting the delivery of life-saving humanitarian aid. I have seen this for myself on my visits to Mali, the Central African Republic, and in Uganda, where I met refugees from South Sudan. I spoke to people who owed their lives to United Nations peacekeepers. In my former position as High Commissioner for Refugees, I saw the reassurance UN peacekeepers provide. Their presence sends a powerful message of international solidarity with the most vulnerable. Action for Peacekeeping aims to strengthen the 2 core aspirations of our peace operations. First, we must all do more to push for political solutions. Peacekeepers are deployed to create the conditions for their own departure. That is why the relationship between a peacekeeping mission and its host country is vital. Over the past 70 years, UN peacekeepers have successfully completed their missions and left countries including Timor-Leste, Cambodia, Angola, Croatia, and Sierra Leone. Our missions in Côte d'Ivoire and Liberia closed recently, and I'm pleased to see His Excellency President Ouéa and His Excellency Vice President Daniel Cablan-Duncan here today. Second, protecting civilians is an essential duty for UN peacekeepers. We can never forget the tragic consequences of our failures. My predecessor Kofi Annan, a former chief of peacekeeping operations, faced up to these failures, especially in Rwanda and Srebrenica, and dedicated himself as Secretary General to making sure they could never happen again. I intend to take up the torch. And I thank His Excellency President Kagame, together with the Netherlands and many of you, for championing the effective implementation of protection and civilian mandates. Partnerships with regional and sub-regional organizations are instrumental to achieve our political and operational objectives. And then there is a need to engage in counterterrorism or peace enforcement, African peace operations, including those mandated by the African Union, are playing a critical role. And I call on you to support these operations, including through predictable, adequate and sustainable financing. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, 70 years after the first United Nations peacekeepers were deployed, let us work together to make peacekeeping missions fit for the future. I thank you all for your support to United Nations peacekeeping, as contributors of troops, police and funding, as managers of peacekeeping mandates, and as governments hosting peacekeeping missions. All of us in the peacekeeping community have an important part to play. The declaration provides a clear agenda for us to achieve that together. I must now translate our commitments into action and ask you all to join me in this task. Thank you very much. I would now like to ask the head of our peacekeeping operation, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, to conduct the meeting.